Introducing Texas Pecan Gourmet Coffee from Monkey Werx. Start your mornings the right way with a handcrafted blend that captures the heart of Texas with every sip. This medium roast delights with tasting notes of rich pecan and smooth cocoa. Our coffee provides a comforting experience perfect for any time of the day. This small batch slow roasted coffee is a testament to quality and Texan craftsmanship. Order yours today and savor the authentic taste of Texas. Visit monkeywerxus.com.
All right. Hey, welcome, Monkeys. It's going to be your SITREP. It's 4/29/2025, coming to you live here from the Monkey Lounge in the great state of Texas. And today we're going to be talking a little bit more about what's going on between India and Pakistan. Boy, this looks like it is got all the ingredients for something to pop off in the very near future. And it just came out of nowhere. It's just, I say out of nowhere. There's been things brewing between those two countries for a multitude of years. I mean, you can go all the way back probably, decades, that's for sure. And so, but we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about what the latest and greatest is with immigration. Man, we've got some astounding numbers, but they seem to be bouncing all over the place. So we're going to kind of delve into that, take a look a little closer. And then, of course, we've got deployments and exercises and all kinds of stuff going on around the world. So we'll take a gander at what is the latest with C-17 traffic and our tankers. And because remember, the sky tells a story. And so as we start to get into all of these movements, we can start to kind of paint that picture. And we've been painting pictures for a while now. And I think we got a pretty good feel on where things lie and what is on the near horizon. Absolutely, Middle East, I think, is going to be a spark. We're going to talk more about that and the latest with the Houthis and everybody else. So let's get right to it. So we'll start off today over here in Skyglass, and it is what are we sitting at? 224 up, but I've stripped out a ton of trainers. So it's amazing how many are up. It is obviously beautiful flying weather out there. 65 Tex 2s, almost 40 EC45s, 25 plus of the T38s. You got 15 EC35s, 14 Hawks, 13 BE40s. So a lot of training activity going on, but we've stripped them out. Then, of course, we look at the skies. Let's just gander in what we got. H-60 Blackhawks. You can see here over the United States. Let me just pop that back up there one more time. 36 up. Now, this is more than likely training. All of this, not necessarily the case. All right, so eyes on that. We'll keep close tabs on the H-60 Blackhawks. And they are off to a very good start today. Let's look at the NAs. Now, these are incognitos. These are folks that don't want you to track them, don't want you to know where they're flying, what they're doing, no call signs, etc. And we're sitting at 32 of those up, and you'll notice that the intel balloons are also NAs, okay? Now, let's go back over here, and we'll look next at the air refuelers. I've got 20 KC-135s up. They are coast to coast. We drop down to the 767s, also air refuelers, and that gives us a total number on screen of 27. So we're just slightly above the threshold or our regular baseline at 25, all right? And I will tell you right here, two things just to point out. This one, that is a nuke sniffer, and it is slightly active today. I'll show you what it's been up to the last couple of days, but looks like it is running some routes kind of over that northern California area, maybe close to Reno, etc. And let's see. Then we've got one drone, and I'm going to see where that one is located. Yeah, that's down here. That's going to be the Valkyrie. That's actually a British asset that operates out of Biggs Army Airfield. All right, and it is a coordinated effort with the U.S. Army. I am sure it's they're not just working in a vacuum there. Okay. Okay, so let's kind of peel the banana back a bit, and we will start off in the intel community. Just note a lot of activity around Japan, South Korea. That's because North Korea is acting like fools again. You can see some stuff out over the Pacific. And then off the coast of Perth, a little northbound, again, third-party intel community. You'll see a little bit there over Israel and Gaza, not a shocker. Some stuff going on down there in the Philippines, it looks like, or around that area, Malaysia. Okay, and then you'll see just thick 5 days of flights. You'll see it headed all the way up towards Russia and then around Kaliningrad, just layer upon layer over 5 days looking at Kaliningrad. That's because that's Russia, and they've got a lot of subs and other assets in there. And then look at this. They're looking very closely at Crimea. There's some low-hanging stuff there over Romania and Bulgaria and that general region. And look at the United States. 5 days. Notice, flanking the southern border, but then look at the activity all over Nevada and into the mountains. Super thick in terms of intel flights. So my guess is this is kind of one of those snatch and grabs, right? They're just out there doing a recon, seeing who they can get their hands on and track down. And we get over to the drones, and you'll see pretty active. Of course, we've got an exercise happening out over Japan and around Japan. But notice some independent drone flights out there very close to China, right? Nothing down under. Then we bounce over here to the U.S. and just, again, southern flank, you can see looking very closely at the water area off the southern Baja California side. Looks like some transition up to Alaska from Washington State. But again, just those long stretches across the U.S. Doing a little recon there. You can see, kick it up to the side. Now, let me see here. That's from the drone perspective. And then let's talk R-135s. Now, I just showed you we had a nuke sniffer that was over the West Coast. You'll see this one coming out of Okinawa. Again, this is SIG intel, not the nuke sniffers. One looks to be transitioning into the Middle East, coming out of England. We did see those arrive in England, and then, of course, they headed down to the Middle East. Again, we're starting to stack up a lot of stuff in the Middle East, which is a big indicator it's going to go hot there. And you'll notice one flies down to San Antonio. We do have this one that boogied up the East Coast. Again, signal intelligence, so it's listening, all right? Listening to everything. Any signal that's in the air, it's grabbing it. Then a little bit there near Sacramento, near Beale, right? Now, those all came out of Lincoln, Nebraska. I don't know if they were on the move because of the storms that went through there or what the deal is. That one probably not off the East Coast, but anyway, that's your signal intelligence. Now, this is the last 5 days of nuke sniffers. And notice right across, that is probably looking at the ports headed out towards the Gulf. All right. And then you'll notice, again, this transition right over the mountains. I'm telling you, they are worried about something. No two ways about that. Let me take you back over the Mini for a minute. And I want to point out something that we didn't really go into too much detail. You can see these rings, visibility rings. That is parked right out over the Gulf of America, all right? 2 balloons now. We've had signal intelligence out there. We've had AWACS out there. We've had a lot of stuff. Drones going out over this exact same area. The fact that we've parked these assets here tells you, 1, capability. 2, they are worried about something in the Gulf of Mexico, whether it is a submarine, whether it is... Now, I say submarine. I have not seen any P-8s go out in that area. So that would tell me more than likely it's on the surface. But cargo, you're talking Club Ks. Iran has, container missile systems. China does. Russia does. Pretty much everybody that hates us has them. So, okay. Now, let's back this up just a little bit more, and we'll continue to peel this banana back. Now, I'm going to talk AWACS here. And again, just notice out off the southern Baja California area, kind of sweeping those mountains, right? Right out here, this is where we just saw, and we continue to see the nuke sniffer, as we just saw, okay? Down to the Texas border, off the eastern seaboard. Look at this. I mean, just completely just flying around the coast of Florida in its entirety, okay? Again, this is an advanced warning aircraft. So the fact that they're sweeping all the way around Florida in its entirety is a bit concerning. And then notice right over RZE Poland, man in the middle circles, right along the area very close to the Nord Stream, right out off the Baltic. And then you can see this one heads down to Turkey towards Cyprus. And then I don't see anything down in Asia. So, okay, now let's talk the Australians for a minute. Now, interesting flight patterns when it comes to the Aussies, right? You'll see, and this is 5 days. So for you that follow me from down under, you can see pretty heavy into Perth. No trainers in this. The trainers have been stripped out. Now, could they just be training exercises? Yeah, maybe. Notice they head up to Japan. So that tells me they are part of, more than likely, the whole military exercise going on in that region right now. But then you get over here, and we'll come back to the Middle East in a second, but you'll notice pretty frequent going into, that's headed into Vegas, so maybe some red flag stuff, right? A little bit out over the water, right? In and out of Beale, right? That's where your U-2s operate out of. Pretty heavy in and out of Hawaii. And then D.C., it looks like, and then down to Charleston, South Carolina. Now we get over to Europe. And again, I was kind of surprised to see them there, quite frankly. But you'll notice in and out of Egypt, in and out of what looks to be some broken traces headed down over the Red Sea. You see them near Turkey. So the Aussies, pretty active globally, okay? They're not the only ones, though. Here, let me just show you what's going on with Canada. Oh, Canada. And you're going to notice some flights down to the border there at San Diego. So they're maybe taking somebody down to be kicked out of the country. Maybe picking somebody up. I don't know. But it could have been a Canadian citizen. I mean, wouldn't be a shocker, right? Right? You can see pretty active around Vancouver. You see some flights down to Hawaii. Some broken stuff headed out over the Pacific, maybe out towards Guam, etc. And then pretty active down in the Carolinas, and you'll see some transitions that are going across the drink. Now you get over here to Europe, and you guys are quite active and busy. Look at the traces going from Croatia into RZE, Poland. So are they pulling some assets away, or are they pushing them forward? Not really sure. But you'll see them in and out around the Med. Okay, pretty active. I mean, for the Canadians, I didn't expect to see them that entrenched over there. So it's interesting. So you guys, it's a data point for you. We're going to talk more about this new leader that just got appointed, that's taking over from Trudeau, which you don't think it can get any worse, but maybe it has. I'm not really sure. You folks in the comments will have to sound off on that one, because I don't know really that much about this guy. Is it a big concern? Did you guys just get, downgraded from, which is you don't think is possible, from Trudeau? I don't know. But let's see. Let's get over here to our news cycle, and then I'll come back. I'm going to circle the wagons in just a minute, and we're going to talk a couple more elements. We're going to look at the Mexican military, and then of course C-17s. We'll delve into that and the air refuelers, because that also that kind of tells you where we're headed. All right. Okay, this is Trump's calendar for today, the one that's public, and you'll see he's headed, looks like, up to Michigan. Going to be going up there and meeting. I guess he's at one of the guard bases up there. All right. Okay, Mark Carney claims election victory, warns Canadians that Trump is trying to break us. So it's going to be interesting to see the posturing that takes place with your new elected official up there. What does that do to the relationship between Canada and the United States? I don't know. It's with the tariffs and all the other stuff. It is going to get really interesting, and we just have to wait and see what happens. But it says committed globalist Carney. So he's a globalist. All right. That's not good. Okay. Further claim that mutually beneficial system Canada and the U.S. had shared since World War II had ended in betrayal by Washington, saying we are over the shock of the American betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. He further goes on to say, as I've been warning for months, America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. And, these are not idle threats. Trump is trying to break us so America can own us. That will never, ever happen. But we also must recognize the reality that our world has fundamentally changed. Yeah, I mean, Trump came onto the scene, and I will tell you, there have definitely been some red flags for me as it relates to all of the talk about just annexing Greenland and Panama and renaming, the Gulf of America and actually talking about just taking Canada. It's an interesting dynamic for sure. But, how much of it is just rhetoric, I don't know. But we move on. All right. So check this part out. Trump's first 100 days. Now, this is where things get a little bit interesting because it says over 150,000 illegals have been arrested. Okay. So that's you're talking a lot, man. It's 15,000 a day from his start of his term to now. More than 135,000 have been deported. Now, are those combined numbers? I would imagine the 135 may be a part of the 150. And then maybe that gets us closer to the amount of people in jail that, Tom Homan and Kristi Noem have been. Or is it? It's Noem. Yeah, Noem. There we go. Maybe I got it right. Anyway, maybe that gets us closer to that 65K that they were talking about. But nonetheless, they're definitely very busy with all of this, okay? And so we have to pay close attention to it because they're barely scratched the surface. And I think the issue you run into is just the fact that there's so many of them here that this is going to be the primary focus for the duration of Trump's 4 years. I mean, it's going to take a long time to get 20 million people out of your country. All right. Now look at this. It says nearly 800 illegal immigrants arrested in a major ICE operation. Well, this took place down in Florida, and it's called Operation Tidal Wave. It's a first of its kind partnership between state and federal partners, ICE Miami and Florida law enforcement. After they arrested 800 illegals over the weekend, it was a massive multi-agency immigration enforcement crackdown. All right. So there you have it. Let's just take a look here. I'm just show you what the Mexican military has been up to as well as you talk about these border arrests and things. Now, what you will notice is the normal flurry that happens, out of kind of Mexico City, around the country. But see the border stuff? That's into Phoenix, probably a pickup and bring somebody out. That's Biggs. That's down towards McAllen and then Brownsville, et cetera. So a lot more activity over the last 5 days. Now, these ones you see like that come in and out of Miami that look like it kind of goes up around and comes back. And then this one goes into Kansas. I'm thinking aircraft maintenance. All right. I'm just, that looked like out of the Miami piece, maybe a little check ride, right? They go through the maintenance cycle and then pilots hop in, they go up and they check it, make sure the aircraft's cleared and good to go. And then they land and Mexico gets their airplane back. So more than likely that. The Kansas piece, that could have been Mexico taking aircraft up to Raytheon for service or something. Or, I mean, there's a prison up there too. Maybe they went up there and picked somebody up and brought them out. I don't know. But nonetheless, we continue to see a pretty active immigrant roundup. So that's good. It's promising. And, how long does it go? Does it start getting salty and sideways? It has the potential to do that. Don't know. Okay. So speaking of migrants, let's bounce over here to Guantanamo Bay. We haven't talked about it too much recently or as of late because there just hasn't been a ton of activity in and out. A lot of the flights are getting wiped. But on the board today, I just want to point out, this is your agency, boys. This is the Graybirds, okay? Right? Coming in from Cartersville, more than likely, it's empty coming down. It's going to deadhead, but it leaves from there and heads to Opa-locka. So looks like maybe somebody's getting the shakedown, all right? And I'm not going to go into all the details around that because I just won't. You guys have to read between the lines there, okay? Now, the other piece is Omni, all right? Notice that one's leaving, headed back to Biggs Army Airfield That's more than likely a troop rotation, although it could be processing some folks. Remember, Biggs is a giant migrant camp, so it holds up to 15,000 people. So maybe some of these folks have been processed. They'll go to Biggs, and then they'll get transferred out of the country from there. Speaking of Biggs, you can see this one on the board as I just showed you. It was departing Guantanamo Bay. This one looks to be arriving here, and that's the wee hours of the morning, so to speak. Atlas Air coming in from Indy, and then you'll notice the Atlas heads up to Seattle, Tacoma. Omni's headed back over to Perot from there. Now, that could be actually taking some troops out of the country, so we'll wait and see. And speaking of out of the country and troops, let's go look at the C-17s for a minute. We'll come back to this screen. This is C-17 traffic, right? This is a Globemaster. It is a huge long-haul aircraft. Notice these are the Indians and the Pakistan ones that are headed across and around India up towards the border side. You'll notice they come out what looks to be the Middle East. Right, and then you'll see some other things that are headed in from the U.S. Now, look at the thick traces coming across out of the United States into the Middle East. It is thick, thick, thick. Look at all of those flights going across the drink. That's 5 days, folks. So we are still continuing to deploy assets into the Middle East. You'll see that one down to Panama. I think we're deploying some folks down there too. And then, you know, down into Florida, et cetera. That's a lot of that kind of comes with moving Trump stuff around, motorcades, all the other things. Okay. So, but it just gives you a general feel. That's your C-17 traffic. Just goes to show you that we are still progressing with putting assets into the Middle East, troops, and everything else. So again, I think it's the stacking up when it comes to Iran. All right. They say talks are going okay, but yeah, they ain't going that okay. All right. So Iran still has their demands. They're trying to make Trump relieve the sanctions. They said they will slowly step down on their uranium enrichment. How many times have we been lied to before? I just don't think it's happening, folks. I'll be shocked if it does, but yeah, you know, stranger things have happened. So, okay, air refuelers. Again, this is probably fighter activity tied to the exercise going on around Japan. Don't have anything down under, but of course, I've already shown you all of their stuff, which would include their tankers. You'll notice into Kuwait, into Bahrain, and kind of out over the Red Sea, and then you'll see some broken traces that head towards the Mediterranean as well as the Middle East. Okay. Again, this is a pretty good indicator that we're moving fighters across, right? A-10s, F-16s, F-35s, F-22s, whatever it may be, but a pretty good indicator that stuff's headed to the Middle East. And then you'll notice out over the Gulf, okay? Kind of sweeping out there, down over the southern flank near Baja. I mean, look at the layers when it comes to this. I mean, that's a lot of tanker flights, folks, a lot. And then around Florida, we kind of expect to see that because Trump's down there. So you've got, you know, fighter and or a lot of fighter presence there around the region. So, okay, let's move on from that. Let's get over here to this. Congress unveils $150 billion in new defense spending for 2025. Let's just get into the meat of what that really entails. The one thing that it doesn't entail is I don't see anything going for security for Ukraine or weapon systems for Ukraine. So the bleeding seems to have stopped from that standpoint. But you'll notice you've got $4.5 billion to accelerate the production of the B-21. So that's basically buying all the tooling, getting everything set up so that they can mass produce these. And then, of course, you've got $315 billion to increase planned production of the F-15EX fighter, $212 billion readiness package to keep Air Force aircraft mission capable. And that's, you notice this is underlined a major underfunded priority. Yeah. Look at this, $678 million for collaborative combat aircraft and autonomous unmanned jets being developed to fly alongside manned fighters. It'll all be unmanned here eventually, like Terminator. $532 million for the Pacific Air Forces and hosted major exercises. and then 500 million extra for the F-47 Next Gen Air Dominance fighter. So this is the one that's really kind of competing against the F-35. You'll notice, and I didn't talk about it today, but there's been a little bit of more shade thrown at the F-35 program. I would just say probably, all of this stuff is choreographed, right? It's probably tied to the F-47. They're trying to get positive press for that, lobbying and all the other stuff so they can get budget. It's just the nature of that business, okay? The military-industrial complex is very volatile, and everybody's fighting over breadcrumbs trying to get money for their programs. None of what I just discussed has anything to do with the black programs, right? So things that are, in the SCIFs, super classified, nobody knows about, nobody knows how much money is being spent, and that's all part of those programs, okay? And there's a lot of it. I think several years ago I looked at, and the numbers were like $70-80 billion just in those programs alone. So, okay. Now, we're going to get over here to the Indian Jimmy Kimball. And look at this. House Democrat, this guy Shree, introduces impeachment articles against Trump. Well, that didn't take long. Trump's in his first 100 days. They're already trying to impeach him. And look, they're talking about the reasons for it. This is just absolutely crazy. It says here that obstruction of justice, abuse of trade powers, tyranny, among other items. Okay. So we'll pay close attention to that. Now you start talking about trade. This gives us a bit of a segue when it comes to this, the tariffs and everything else and what is happening. Take a look. I'm going to just hit refresh on this for a minute. Every time we check in, I show you there are more and more of these parked ships off the coast of China. Okay. And you can see as you just kind of get through it all. If I go in and zoom in, thousands upon thousands of cargo ships that are parked. Look at this. You get up near Beijing. Look out here. Look at all of these. Like this is because trade has been affected, between the U.S. and China. 25% of what was getting shipped out, this is around Taiwan, but 25% of the stuff that was going out ain't going out anymore. So it's basically, it's come to a screeching halt. But this is just gives you a good feel of exactly the impact that this tariff stuff is having. Again, Shanghai, this is the biggest port, and you can see as we get in close the amount of stuff that's parked off the coast of that area too. So yeah, it's pretty remarkable, isn't it? All right, moving on. Okay, we talk latest exercises. There's a huge exercise happening off of Iceland between there and northern England. But this is what this is involving. It's called Dynamic Mongoose 25. It's a NATO anti-submarine warfare capability test, really. And they are planning on running this. I think it goes, well, let me see. Let me go back over to this. We'll click on the box just to see what it is. Yeah, May 8th or 9th, I think. This is talking about it, active area and how long it'll take place. So, all right. And then, of course, this area right here is what we're kind of watching because Pakistan and India, as we get into the deets here in just a minute, they're definitely about to go to fisticuffs. So, okay, global military spending hits $2.7 trillion. It's the highest since the Cold War. Well, the U.S. is $1 trillion of that, right? And then they're trying to add an extra $580 billion or whatever to it as well. So it's marking a 9.4% increase over 2023, which is interesting. So this is just kind of the numbers rolling up. Look at this. It says military spending in Europe surged 17% to $693 billion in just last year alone. So everybody is doubling down. I'm telling you, this is a big, big, big indicator that countries are posturing for war, right? And it is coming. No two ways about it. Okay, Camber flights. I got nothing on the board right now. Pretty unusual as well. But let's get over here and talk the Pakistani-India thing for a minute. This, they keep firing pot shots at each other across the border. And they're saying here that this is what coming from the Pakistan's defense minister. He was saying this morning that basically a military incursion by India is imminent. Now, I will tell you, I was trying to pull all of the Indian military into my database as well as the Pakistan military, just so I've got eyes on the aircraft. I was having a bit of an issue getting it done, so I wasn't able to show it today. But if and when I'm able to get that, we'll be able to kind of watch how all of this stuff is kind of transitioned close to the borders. Okay, so it was not just the C-17s I showed you kind of going up towards the mountains, but absolutely on a trigger. Now, there is a key word to all of this, and you will recognize it just by looking at the crowd, okay? All right, the Indian government promptly accused Pakistan of harboring the Islamist terrorists which committed that atrocity that took place in Kashmir. So, again, Islam, all right? Now, you look at the amount of folks that are coming to our country from Pakistan and India, there are a lot of them that are Islamic, okay? You look at all of the mosques that are standing up in Texas, it is a staggering number. So pay close attention to that, folks. That is stealth jihad. Once they get the numbers, then they get the craziness, okay? Well, they're already crazy, but you get what I'm saying. They will start to try to get people into the city councils. They'll get them onto Senate seats, et cetera, into Congress, right? And then they start to implement just what they did in the UK. If you don't believe me, just go look at the UK, ask a true Brit, exactly what happened to their country, and they will tell you it was lost decades ago, okay? So the other piece too, India, Pakistan. Between the two countries, India has like 160 nukes and Pakistan has 170 nukes. Yeah, we can thank Madeleine Albright and Bill Clinton for that one. Yeah, they both nuclear powers. In the past, one of the recent SITREPs that I did, I think it was last Thursday, I wasn't 100% sure that India had nukes. I don't know what I was thinking. Of course they've got nukes. We knew Pakistan did. And they were able to get them very quietly throughout the 80s as they developed the program. Nobody even knew what was going on. Maybe they did. They just let them do it. But nonetheless, those are two nuclear forces that are about to go, to blows here. So again, pay attention. All right, look at the Brits. You can see them stacking up right here in Cyprus. So they've got a lot of aircraft on ground or landing, taking off in and out of Cyprus right now. And you'll notice one that comes out of Terceira Island here, headed to Cherry Point, all right? Not uncommon for the Brits to come here to the U.S. Okay, let's move on. This is going to be Ramstein, blue and white dignitaries, C-17s, Camber Flight 747 coming in from Dover. You've got a base commander coming out of Wiesbaden. And then let me see anything else catches my eye there. Okay, we're good. Let's move on. All right, look at this. Romania plans to boost army by 35,000 troops as tensions rise. I've shown you that, all of NATO, everybody, they're starting to really pump out the production of, or step up the production of military assets. They're doing everything they can to recruit. UK is stumbling with the recruitment numbers. They're actually, through just attrition, they're losing people pretty frequently by the month. So I think the number was around 300 a month or something are actually exiting the UK military, and they're not really able to get people that want to sign up. Can't say I don't blame them, but especially with what's on the horizon. All right, over here to RZE Poland, and you'll just notice you do see this base commander. Looks like it came in from Constanta, and then we drop down. I don't see any camper flights on the board. I do see a Kaleta that is leaving and headed to, or actually last seen near Mongolia, okay? So not a lot from the U.S. over here. Okay, let's talk Middle East. U.S. says it hit more than 800 targets in the Houthi bombing campaign. 800 targets. This is what it looked like before the bombing. No, I'm just kidding. Wasn't probably far off of that. I think I've seen this car come into my neighborhood at one point. But yeah, this is, it probably is very much like Gaza at this point. All right. Then let's talk the Truman for a minute. They've had their share of issues. I don't know what's going on, but I would imagine somebody's probably feeling a little bit of heat if you were in charge of that carrier group. But it says here, USS Harry Truman was evading a Houthi attack when an F-18 Hornet just basically rolled off its deck. Kind of crazy that actually happens, but it's a loss in the latest in a string of accidents or incidents that have happened with the Truman, including a collision and friendly fire shoot down. You remember that one? Yeah. So, this is an archive image of the Truman. But, they're having a lot of issues out there and not really good. But I'm sure they're working through it, right? But let's move on. Now, look at this. I will tell you, I can confirm this when I look in my database at the MQ9s. You can see a lot of them are now NA, out of commission. Yeah, and that's because, look, the U.S. has lost 7 multi-million-dollar drones just in the Yemen area since March. March. There have been 7 MQ9s that have gone down since March 15th. You're talking 6 weeks. So these things are getting popped off left, right, and center. Now, I've also shown you in the past that, the Chinese have radar systems that are set up in the region over near Sudan, as do the Iranians. So they are all kind of helping each other work against us. With the Chinese radar system that has been put into place there, they're able to look at our aircraft and everything that's out there in the sky and basically report it into, the Houthis. All right. Same thing with the Iranians. So they're sharing intelligence. So, all right. Well, listen, folks, that's going to do it for our SITREP today. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. For those in the Q&A over here on Patreon, sit tight. We'll be rolling here in just a couple minutes. All right. You guys be safe. Keep that powder dry. Stay frosty. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out.